to our programme. Like every month, we'll bring you a summary of the most important debates and decisions of the European Parliament's plenary session. Let's start with the headlines. Parliament forces better toy safety. Rail passenger legislation definitively adopted. Immigration. Parliament discusses a clear framework. 65% of toys sold in Europe are made in China. The recent upset in the market, when 20 million toys imported from China were withdrawn, prompted a debate in the European Parliament. The EPP-ED group took the initiative to draft a resolution on the issue.
The approved resolution forced the representative of the Commission to announce new proposals regarding the certification of the CE labelling. Malcolm Harbour, EPP-ED Group Coordinator on the Internal Market and Consumer Protection Committee, was the lead speaker in the Parliament's response to the Commission's statement.
There's a Japanese saying, I emphasise Japanese rather than Chinese in the context of this question, a problem is a mountain of treasures. I think consumers are entitled to more and better information. I cannot understand why we're so reluctant to tell consumers where products are made. The Council is sitting on a proposal in selected areas at the moment. And I think that the toy industry must really look seriously at a proper toy safety mark that it develops and manages itself.
The adopted resolution stipulates the toy industry should set up a European safety marking, certified by independent testing. Toys should also be comprehensively labelled, including the source of production. Better cooperation between customs authorities to identify unsafe products from rogue producers. Marianne Thyssen, EPP-ED Group Vice Chairwoman and spokesperson on the issue, emphasised in her speech,
It is now up to us to deal in a rational and sensible way with this problem. In the case that lies at the origin of this debate, toys from China were involved. However, I would like to ask not to focus solely on Chinese toys. We need to make sure that product safety in general is guaranteed. We do not need to come up with an entirely new approach, but we need to close the loopholes in the current system. We are trying to achieve this with the internal market proposals for goods.
Both Mrs. Thyssen and Mr. Harbour underline that toy makers must operate to high standards of quality and safety. Consumers want more information to help them choose the best products. Reputable makers should support certification and labelling schemes that will help them choose safe products.
We consumers hope that by this Christmas, our children will play with safer toys. Rail passengers in Europe will soon benefit from improved passenger rights. Last Tuesday, the European Parliament adopted a final agreement with Council.
EPP-ED Group spokesperson Georg Jarzembowski, who played the leading role in the negotiations, said,
The good news is that national railway tracks will be opened up to cross-border passenger services of companies from all member states on the 1st of January 2010, whether they are private or state-owned companies. This means that, at last, we will see the common market for cross-border passenger services in place, with better services and more choice for the consumers. We expect that railway companies take the chance and provide competitive services so that rail travel becomes a real alternative to flying.
Better news still for passengers. As from the autumn of 2009, a compensation scheme for delayed trains will be in place. If the delay exceeds 1 hour, passengers will be entitled to a refund of 25% of the ticket price. If a train is more than 2 hours behind schedule, passengers will get back half of the fare. Parliament secured that not only cross-border trains, but also domestic trains will be included after a transitional period. It is expected, however, that in most countries, both cross-border and domestic trains will be subject to the new refund system at the same starting date. This is going to ensure that delays throughout the EU will be reduced to a minimum, and railways will become a more popular means of transport.
The European Parliament discussed this week in plenary what the future developments of a common immigration policy should be. It constitutes one of the most important challenges on the European Union's political agenda.
European countries need workers because in 20 years, more than a third of its population will be over 65 years of age. And in sectors like agriculture and healthcare, the need is already evident. This is one of the main reasons for the European Union to build up, as soon as possible, a realistic management system for immigration. For the EPP-ED group, Chairman Joseph Daul set out the priorities.
The EPP-ED group appreciates the severity of this debate, and we are thinking of the hundreds of lives that have been sacrificed because they dreamt of Europe. Respect for human life has remained fundamental from the outset of our immigration policy. I congratulate our rapporteurs for their work, as well as Commissioner Frattini for his will and political determination. It is our duty to do everything possible to stem the flow of immigrants. It is the unity of our society, our capacity to welcome people, our determination to combat racism, intolerance and xenophobia, which are at stake here. To tackle immigration, an approach based on the respect for human dignity, common sense and a solid legal framework are vital.
The EPP-ED considers that progress has been made, but the European Union must continue to work along different lines at the same time. To organise legal immigration flows by proposals on the entry and residence conditions of highly skilled and seasonal workers, on integration measures or cooperation with countries of origin, but also to strengthen the fight against illegal immigration by giving more financial and material means to Frontex, the European Agency for the Management of External Borders, by organising a common policy on returns and requiring sanctions for illegal employment and human trafficking, and avoiding blanket amnesties which do not solve anything. Many lives are at stake, and the European Union, far from closing its doors to migrants, should have an answer for those who come to work and to receive them with dignity.
This programme was brought to you by the press service of the EPP-ED group, the largest political group in the European Parliament. On our website, you can find an extended version of the plenary session report. See you again next month.